name is Charlie Randall. I live in Palmyra, Maine. I was born here, and my grandfather and my mother, my great grandfather was born. This was his farm. I bought it, and a little history. He bought this farm in 1871, and he died in 1931. My grandfather and his brother sold it in 37, and I bought it back again in 51. So it's been in the family since 1871, with the exception of 14 years. I've lived here all my life, except for time I spent in the Navy. I was in the Navy, done hitch in the Navy, and I went to school down in the Adams School down here, about a mile down on the other Route 2. And when I was young, ever since I can remember, I've had a job. I was only about 5 years old, and I started milking the old family cow, the old Pat. And from then on up, I've had a job ever since. And when I was supposed to be, always had a few cows, and when I was in high school, I milked 6 cows by hand and went to school. And down in high school, I went to Newport High School, and I started there in 1942. And while I was in high school, I did have a job, a part-time job Saturdays, delivering mail in Newport, delivering around through town. And but I always had plenty of work to do at home, and I had 2 brothers and a sister younger than me, and we always had plenty to do when we were at home. We used to raise our own beef and pork, and always had pigs and beef cattle and our own milk. And we had an old horse when I was young, old Chub. We used to do a lot of farming with. And high school was high school was a very enjoyable time in my life. I remember some good times we had in high school, and I belonged to FFA, and that's Future Farmers of America. And I did play baseball. I didn't play many sports because I had so much to do at home. I didn't have time to play many sports, but I did play baseball. And the town, Palmyra, was like back then, it was a very close-knit town. We went to Grange. We had a Grange in town that everybody belonged to the Grange, and it was a very sociable organization. The selectmen, we still have a selectmen form of government, and but it seemed a lot slower pace than we have now. We used to have box socials. People all went to, enjoyed, socialized with each other. And about that time, television came into being, and people lost interest in the Grange, and so the Grange dissolved in about 1957 or 8. And how the town has changed, it certainly has changed in the fact that one thing that I noticed, that people don't socialize. People used to visit more and socialize amongst themselves, and enjoyed the company of each other a lot more than they do now. As time goes on, you don't seem to even know who your next door neighbor is. As far as like how the town has changed, like our town meetings used to be a very important part of the annual annual meeting, was a town meeting, and everybody was interested in the town. Most everybody would go to town meeting and took interest in town affairs. And now it's just a handful of people go to town meeting and run the town, spend a lot more money than seems always unnecessary. Some of the accounts, to me, seem to be way overrun. We're all poor, but we didn't realize we were poor because everybody was poor. And you know, we had a lot of hardships then. We had to walk to school when we were young. I don't know, I just sometimes think I'd like to go back to the good old days when people were more cared about each other and than they do today. People that lived in town were about the same, I guess, as they do today. Just the times have changed to the point that people don't seem to care, look out for each other like they did. We used to have, every time anybody was ever burned out, we'd all have bees and get together and help them build the buildings back. And we had barn raisings when I was a small boy. We had neighbors would all get together, and I know one barn that burnt. And the last one I remember was up here, Ashley Smith barn burnt. We all got together and had a bead and put the barn back up for him, built a big barn for him. And I've lived here 80 years. I'm 80 years old and was born right here. And we used to get around in the spring, in the winter we used to, the snow, there'd be days, be weeks to a time, the road wouldn't be plowed, but we went with horse and sleigh, and went back and forth to town with a horse and sleigh, a horse and wagon. And do I like it here? Or I think I must like it here. I've been here all these years, and I still like the town, and quite interested. And I've been on several boards. I've been on the board of selectmen for several years, and I've been on the planning board for about 25 years. And I just resigned just a few years ago, and I've been health officer, and I've been on the school board, served on the school board's dog catcher, served in that a couple of years. The worst snowstorm I remember was, I think the worst I ever remember was in 1969. My grandfather died night of February 25th, 26th, and we had the worst snow that I ever remember. The drifts are 10, 12 feet deep on our road, and the plows couldn't even get through. And back then we had just bought a snowmobile. That was the only way we could get up and down our road on a snowmobile. Grandfather passed away that night. And matter of fact, my wife and I rode the snowmobile to Newport to make arrangements for his funeral. That was back in '69. Most interesting thing in town was, well, we was quite proud of our school. We built a new school over here in '53. We was quite proud of that, of our new school, and we've since added on to it twice. As far as most interesting things that happened is, I suppose there's been a lot of interesting things happen, but I can't seem to recall what they might be.